No, first of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting. Great to be back. I have graduated from this very campus back in 2009, 7-9 batch. So when the invite came, I actually couldn't say no. But great to be here. I think, as you mentioned, right, I lead what we call a manufacturing and supply chain service line for Asia, which gives me an opportunity to work across various sets of clients, and which includes governments in some places, or government agencies, which include public sector units, which includes cutting-edge supply chain folks like consumer or AI, which we call automotive industries, and so on and so forth, and also the logistics player. If I put a step back, I think if I look at artificial intelligence, I think artificial intelligence is this is a language I'm hearing for last 10 years. If you ask me what was different 5-7 years back versus what it is now, I think it has reached the tipping point, if I may, right? It has reached the tipping point. What do I mean by what has reached the tipping point? I think 5-7 years back, we were what we call LLMs, right? Models. They were data scientists, were building models and all. People were trying to put that model into the day-to-day businesses and so on and so forth. I think from that era, today we have gone where even a person like me, I know nothing about Python, but my data scientists say you can spend 3 hours on a Sunday and actually can build a model on your own, starting from how to download a Python and then how to write the code on it, right? So that's the transformation I think the AI has gone, right? AI from being a data scientist driven, a complex black box, to anybody and everybody potentially can use it is where we have moved. What does it mean? We have something called McKinsey Global Institute of Research, right? So as per that MGI study, over the course of next 3 to 5 years, almost $25 trillion in global economy, AI will actually pump in. Out of that, around $5 to $7 trillion we expect what will come, what we call generative AI, which is on a day-to-day basis. You can use it. It's reading multiple things on a day-to-day basis and can help you create things, right? So that's humongous numbers. I just want to tell you those numbers because those numbers are becoming real as we speak. Now, if I translate it, that what does it mean for a day-to-day business? What does it mean for day-to-day business is that we always say, don't go technology forward, always go business backward, right? So when we go to a client or to the CEOs or to the boardrooms, we always say, don't think about what technology you will use, or don't think about what your technology team will do. Think about what business problem it will solve, and then go business backward and see how does it become a business transformation and not a technology transformation. If I look at from that perspective, we believe there are 18 to 20 spaces across the value chain of a business. If I take from touching the customer right up to touching your supplier, tier 1, tier 2, and so on and so forth, there are 20 use cases. Again, our MGI study says that there are 20 use cases which are getting the traction much more than the others, right? And then the use cases vary a lot. Use cases vary from spend analysis for a procurement guy to understand creating a customer persona for a front-end sales executive to very simple things like having a full approval process through writing that in an agent and so on and so forth. And what does that also mean is that a significant increase in terms of productivity. Significant in terms of increase in terms of productivity. That does also mean significant change in profile of the people who are working, right? So I think that's the change we are looking for. We also get a question all the time that is it going to impact the job and so on and so forth. At least our perspective is that it will increase productivity and it will increase the value addition. So newer jobs will be created. There would be different type of skill sets which will be needed. People will be needing to what we call reskill, upskill them rather than looking at it as a loss of anything on any jobs and so on and so forth. I think the last point what I want to mention is that if we look at it, right, has it occurred at scale? The answer is no. When we did a survey a couple of years back, we almost touched upon 1,000 plus CEOs and CXOs. And the answer was 90% of them were trying out something in AI, right? Something in AI. Today, if we go, the same answer come from Gen AI. Out of the 90%, around 50% was somewhere close to where they were able to do something which we call pilots. They were doing some pilots, but only 5% have been able to scale it up and make it something where business value are getting added to that AI, if I may. And the reason for that, the reason as we dived, and the reason for that, there are few reasons came out which came as a blocker. And the first thing which we said, if you try to treat this as a technology transformation, that's what we call as a recipe for failure. It has to be a business-backed, it has to be a business-owned transformation where the business looks at it, that what advantage they get from it and how the day-to-day people's life can become better for that. I think that's point number one. Point number two, while there is a lot of data available across various functions, we have seen there is a lot of garbage in, garbage out, right? How do you make sure less is more, that you have the right amount of data rather than having a lot of data which the model is giving you some answer, but that answer is actually not making any sense. I think point number three, which is very, very, very important, is that it cannot be only a top-driven or only a bottom-driven. It has to be both. What I mean by that, the CEOs need to walk the talk. So today when I meet any CEO, I actually ask him, have you created an agentic AI before you want to go and do an agentic AI transformation in your own organization? Have you played around with ChatGPT or whatever form of AI you're using, and have actually showed that you are actually role modeling it? At the same time, it is important, if I talk about manufacturing and supply chain, to get the ground level people completely involved into it, right? And then lastly, this is a big change management, right? Technology is important, and I think we have crossed that path in technology in terms of the availability of the technology. What has not been happened at scale is organization do not change, people change, right? So that people change management is super, super important. And on that context, and maybe in a minute I will wrap up in the interest of time, as you were mentioning, I think if I look at our young talent, there are 2-3 important things to keep in mind. A, as I said, what business problem the technology is going to solve it, right? Keep a very clear eye on that. If you have understanding of the business problem, then you will be able to do the translation, what we saw, say a translator job between a business problem and a tech problem. So if somebody is doing ops, it is important that what use case of an operations will get solved by the technology and how it will create business value. I think that is very, very important. I think the second is the traditional roles are going to change as we see, right? Traditional roles are going to change across the industry. So for example, in McKinsey, as many of you may have heard, our global managing partner Bob said, we have something called Lily, which is our own ChatGPT version, where there are 12,000 agents. And those 12,000 agents are actually doing a work of a lot of researchers, which used to get done by human beings before. But does that mean those job of the researchers are going? The answer is no. The answer is those agents are making them much more efficient. And they're actually now seeing at how those agents can help us to give much more sharper answer to any business problem we get. More importantly, much more faster, right? Can I give an answer to my CEO, to a client CEO, which I used to give in 2 months, can I give it in 7 days, right? That's the change, and that's the mindset probably our universities and the students also need to acknowledge. I think the third, which is again very, very important, at the core of it lies is the people change, right? I think many of the time we underscore the people change management, what is needed when technology and the business going through such a large transformation. I think that is very, very important. And I remember 10 years back when I was a young consultant, I was working with a leading multi-billion-dollar company, and the CEO said, okay, look, you know what, whatever you are doing, if this is going to help my people, then they will adopt it. If it is not going to help my people, they will not adopt it. That mindset is probably what would be important for people to keep in mind as they go ahead. I'll pause in the interest of time. I hope I have been able to keep in time, but happy to take any questions.